Hello everyone and welcome back to our channel. Today we've got a really important topic to dive into, the role of journalists and the media in advocating for and protecting human rights across the globe. Did you know? The media and journalists are not just passive observers, they're active players in promoting justice, amplifying voices that need to be heard, and holding those in power accountable. But today, we want to explore just how crucial their role is in upholding human rights, and why they often put themselves at risk in doing so. From reporting on war crimes and civil rights abuses to highlighting issues like freedom of speech, gender equality, and environmental justice, the media often serve as the first line of defense for human rights. But what does that actually look like in practice? How do journalists manage to bring these stories to the world, especially when doing so can put their lives on the line? It's a fascinating question, and today we're going to break it down. We'll also be sharing some real-world examples of how journalism has led to tangible change, and how sometimes it becomes a beacon of hope in places where human rights are under attack. First off, let's talk about the role of journalists as watchdogs. One of the core responsibilities of the media is to investigate and expose human rights violations, whether they're happening in a local community or on the global stage. Right, think of investigative journalism as the eyes and ears of the public. In countries where governments are corrupt or oppressive, the media often takes the lead in exposing injustice, inequality, or violence against marginalized groups. Without that reporting, many human rights abuses would stay hidden from the world. For instance, journalists played a critical role in uncovering human rights abuses during apartheid in South Africa. International media outlets helped shed light on the situation when the apartheid regime attempted to suppress information, leading to widespread awareness and global pressure for change. Think about the investigative reporting done by journalists around the world during the Syrian civil war. The media helped document atrocities like chemical attacks and the displacement of millions of civilians, which not only made the world aware of these crimes, but also pressured international bodies to take action. And it's not just about exposing the horrors. Journalists are also the ones documenting the resilience of human beings in the face of adversity, showing the strength of individuals and communities fighting for their rights, often risking their own safety to do so. Now, beyond just exposing human rights violations, journalists and media outlets also serve as advocates for change. With the advent of digital platforms and social media, news is more accessible than ever before. Journalists can now amplify voices that were previously silenced, providing marginalized groups with a platform to demand their rights. Take the case of the Rohingya crisis in Myanmar. It wasn't until journalists began reporting on the ethnic cleansing and human rights violations committed against the Rohingya Muslims that the international community took notice. In situations like these, it's not just about reporting the news, it's about creating a platform where people can demand accountability. And let's not forget the role of photojournalists. Images have a powerful way of bringing human rights issues directly into the homes of people who may not have otherwise cared or been aware of what's going on. A single photograph can spark outrage, mobilize support, and even drive policy changes. Of course, being a journalist in today's world is not without its dangers, especially when reporting on human rights issues. We've all heard about journalists being detained, harassed, or even killed because they dared to report on topics that threaten powerful interests. That's absolutely right. According to Reporters Without Borders, journalists who cover sensitive topics like corruption, human rights abuses, and war often face threats, imprisonment, or worse. The International Press Institute reports that dozens of journalists have been killed every year for doing their job. And it's not just in war zones. Authoritarian regimes are especially known for cracking down on reporters. And let's not forget about the digital threats, like hacking and surveillance, which have made it even more dangerous for journalists to report on sensitive topics. In many cases, journalists aren't just up against physical violence. They also face cyber attacks and online harassment, which can undermine their ability to work and intimidate them into silence. It's so important that we recognize the sacrifices journalists make to keep us informed. And this is where international organizations, governments, and NGOs come in. They need to work together to create environments where journalists can report freely and safely without fear of retaliation. As much as we depend on journalists to inform us, there's also an important issue of media literacy. In today's digital age, misinformation can spread just as quickly as truth, and this can have serious consequences for human rights. It's more important than ever that we learn to critically evaluate the news we consume. When people don't understand how to spot misinformation, it becomes easier for disinformation campaigns to distort the truth and manipulate public opinion. This could lead to the suppression of human rights, as we've seen in the case of media campaigns that demonize refugees or marginalize certain groups. That's why, alongside supporting independent journalism, we also need to invest in educating people on how to consume information responsibly and thoughtfully. To wrap it up, journalists and the media are absolutely vital to human rights. They shine a light on abuses, hold those in power accountable, and give a voice to the voiceless. But they also face unimaginable risks in the process. So it's on all of us, whether it's as consumers of news or as advocates for press freedom, to support them and ensure they can continue their important work. It's crucial that we not only recognize their contributions, but actively work to create a safer, more supportive environment for journalists everywhere. Human rights are everyone's responsibility, and journalism is a powerful tool in the fight to protect them. Thank you all so much for watching. If you found this conversation valuable, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more discussions like this one. And if you have any thoughts or questions about the role of journalists in human rights, drop a comment below. We'd love to hear from you. Until next time, stay informed and stay engaged.